Hello, welcome to another declutter video. Today we are going to be going through my primer drawer, and I gotta say I'm pretty proud of this one. It's definitely not too cluttered. I do have space to grow it still, but I am just so picky when it comes to my makeup primers. I know a lot of exactly what works and exactly what does not work for me, and so there's a lot of primers that I try and I discard even before they get in this drawer. You guys know I like to do makeup updates videos, so when I first try a new product, I put it in my to further test out drawer, right? And then I decide whether or not I want to add it to my collection. So there's a lot of primers I've tried throughout the years that kind of get cut out right then and there. With that said, I am looking at some things in here that I know I don't reach for all that often and that I can get rid of, or maybe I've had them for a little bit too long and they are now expired, etc. I'm going to go through these, and I know that there's quite a few that I just don't reach for, so I am going to just go ahead and give them away to friends and family members, or donate them, or if they're expired, trash them and whatnot. As I go through them, I'll explain which ones are my favorite and the reason why they are my favorite and why they are primers I choose to use. That's another thing. Primer is a step that I don't consider 100% necessary. In a lot of occasions with a good skin prep, you can skip your primer. And in fact, I do a lot of the times. I have very dry skin and I have some visible pores, some texture. The main thing for me when it comes to a makeup primer is something that is going to hydrate my skin and something that is going to give my skin a really nice slip so that any makeup that I put on top of my skin glides beautifully. Yes, some primers can absolutely do that, but the main thing that does that for me is definitely my magic cream. So my number one favorite priming product, even though this is technically a moisturizer, is magic cream, because magic cream is going to ensure that my face is hydrated all throughout the day. It's going to ensure that any foundation I put on top, unless it's a very drying foundation, doesn't look dry on me throughout the day, and it gives my skin really beautiful texture and a very beautiful glide so that any makeup I put on top of magic cream just blends beautifully. So my number one most favorite priming product, again, even though this is not technically just a primer, it's a moisturizer, is 100% magic cream. Now there are other primers that I love and choose to put on top of magic cream because they have added benefits, and so that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. In the description box of this video, you'll find a list of my top most favorite makeup primers in my collection, so definitely check it out if you're interested. And let's just go ahead and start decluttering things. I think I'm going to start back here since these are the ones that I use less. And this right here is from Auric Beauty. It's called the Glow Lust. It's a radiant luminizer, sort of like the Hollywood Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury. Now, the issue I have with this one, and one reason I've never loved it, I truly wish I did, but I don't, it's that this has a much thicker texture than Hollywood Flawless Filter does. Yes, it gives your skin a good amount of luminosity to it, but I just don't like the texture of it. It's too thick, it kind of unbreathable in my opinion, and so even though I love this packaging and I want to support Samantha Ravindell and everything she does, this is just not for me. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one away. Moving on to this one here from Huda Beauty. This is the Glowish Blur Jam, and it is another primer, in this case a blurring primer. Let me just grab a bit of it to show you. It kind of has this jelly texture. This one has a really nice cooling sensation and it does blur out your pores beautifully. Up until a minute ago, I thought I was going to get rid of this one, but I think I need to give it a bit more of a chance because I do really like the way it made my skin feel and look. So maybe I should just reach for it a little bit more often. I think I'm going to keep it for now. Then we have this one from Ilia. This is the Ilia C Beyond Triple Serum SPF 40. It's got vitamin C and niacinamide. And this one has a bit of coverage to it. It's a bit too warm for me and my complexion. I have it in my primer drawer because this doesn't have enough coverage for me to use as a foundation, and it does have a really nice amount of hydration and whatnot, but this is just not a product that I reach for all that often, so I'm going to pass this one along. Moving on to this L'Oreal Paris Prime Lab primer here. This is a redness eraser. It has a green tint to it. I do remember liking this one. However, even though I have redness on my skin, I am not one to reach for green primers all that often. My redness can, for the most part, be covered just with a bit of foundation. And this is just something that I'm not reaching for. So I'm going to pass this one along. Plus, I think I have another green primer in my collection that I am more interested in keeping. This one from Peter Thomas Roth right here. Let me just put it next to it. So this is another redness reducing primer, and I do like the texture of the Peter Thomas Roth one a little bit better. So I'm going to keep this one and get rid of the L'Oreal one for now. Okay, this other one by L'Oreal is actually another redness correcting primer. And this was a favorite of mine for a long time. This is not something that I'm reaching for unless it's summertime, because it turns into a skin color, and the skin color that it turns into is a bit too dark for my winter self, but it works wonders for my summer self. So you can see how it turns from green into a skin color with a bit of coverage to it. And you can also see how in comparison to my skin, it's a bit tan for me, if you will. During the summertime, I absolutely love this one. I am definitely keeping it, but for my winter self, it is a bit too dark. I do love the coverage this has. I love how it corrects my redness, and I love the beautiful hydration and glow that it gives the skin. So definitely keeping it. And I'm putting all my keeps back here for now, and then I'll organize everything. Let's move on to this one here. This is from YSL. This is the New Skin Primer. This one was kind of unremarkable. I don't remember much about it. I know I tried it. If it's in the stores, because I liked it. It's just like a hydrating, balmy product with a bit of glow to it. I honestly have not been impressed by anything from the new line from YSL. I love YSL products in general, but the new line that they made, which was kind of like a no makeup line, I wasn't impressed by it. Nothing I've tried has impressed me much. And so I think I'm going to just give this primer away because I don't reach for it, and I think I can find it a better home. This Nano Blur right here went viral because it was used for Euphoria, I think it was. And I tried it and I hated it, but I kept it for science purposes because everyone was so obsessed with it. I was like, well, how can I be the one that just does not make it work? Now, the reason this one went viral is not their priming capabilities. It's actually that it was used as a mattifying over makeup type product. I hated it that way. I used it as a primer and was not overly impressed by it as a primer either. And so I'm going to give it away because this is just not something that I'm reaching for. Here's another primer from that new Yves Saint Laurent line, and this one is a green color correcting primer. It doesn't have as strong as a green color as some of the other ones I've shown you, but once you blend it out, here's what it looks like. It more so makes my skin a bit more yellow, I would say, which I guess you could say corrects the redness in my skin. But I think I already kept the two green color correcting primers I want. So I'm going to give this one away as well. This one here I got because it went viral on TikTok. It's from Flower Beauty, and it's like a foam primer. Honestly, very impressive application, and I do remember liking its priming capabilities. But at the end of the day, I don't think it does anything extraordinary. It gives your skin a bit of glow, a nice bit of glide to it. It applies in a very cool fashion, that is for sure, and it does have a beautiful glow to it. Am I reaching for this one? No, so I'm gonna give it away as well. This right here from Good Molecules is a priming moisturizer. It is silicone free, and I believe I used a whole bottle of this, and this might be my like restock because I had a moment with this one. I absolutely love the glide. I love the hydration. It's a fantastic priming product. This I also thought I would get rid of, but I'm actually also keeping it. I loved it too much to get rid of it. I think I should just get back to using it more than I have. Then I have this NYX Professional Makeup Pore Filling Targeted Priming Stick, which I like, but it's not something that I reach for all that often. I have other primers that I like better when it comes to filling in my pores and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one away. Then I have this right here from MAC Cosmetics. This is a MAC Studio Fix Mattifying Shine Control Primer. Anything that is mattifying, for the most part, I don't tend to keep. Because I don't need my makeup to be more matte than my dry skin already makes it. I remember I kept this one because it is a mattifying primer that did make my makeup last for a long time. And I also remember it not drying out my skin, and so I was impressed by that. However, do I reach for mattifying primers all that often? No. There might be another mattifying primer in my collection I'd rather keep, so I'm going to give this one away. This one here from Charlotte Tilbury, I like, but I don't love, and I have not used in a long time, but it is Charlotte Tilbury, and this is one of my favorite brands. I do make dedicated videos on Charlotte Tilbury exclusively, and so for that reason, I might need this for a video in the future, so I'm not going to get rid of it. This one just gives your skin a bit of hydration and a bit of glow, as you can see. It's a beautiful product that I do love and recommend. I just don't reach for it myself that often, but I am keeping it. Back here, I have this teeny tiny Tatcha Silk Canvas. I do really like this one, but I like the liquid one even better. So we'll get to this one once we get up here. As you can see, I have used and abused this little one, but I keep it because sometimes I just want a little something to blur my pores, and this does exactly that without drying out my skin. So it's staying in my collection for now, and I will finish it hopefully soon. This one from Lancome is a balm type product, one that also is supposed to prime and blur, and it has a nice amount of hydration to it. I like it, but I don't reach for it all that often. So I think I can give this one a better home. I'm going to give it away. The last product in this bin back here is the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Primer. Let me open this one up. Again, a putty primer, aka something that is going to be a bit blurring for your pores. This one I think has a bit of luminosity to it. It's definitely a really good primer for the price because this is nice and affordable, but I don't reach for it. I'm trying to be as cutthroat as I possibly can with my primer products, so bye-bye. Let's keep going with things I have more so towards the front here. We finally emptied this bin to the left, and then I have the Secure Skin Gripping Serum Primer from OYS Beauty. This one just kind of makes your face a little sticky. I don't think it does much when it comes to, that was a lot, when it comes to like blurring or anything like that. I don't think it does much for hydration or oil control either. Just makes sure that everything you apply on top is going to have a really nice amount of coverage. I don't reach for it that often, so I'm going to give this one away. This one right here from Say Beauty is a beautiful glowy primer. The shade is Star Glow, and it does give your skin a lot of hydration and a really nice amount of luminosity as well. I am keeping this one. This one here from NYX has to be my most favorite drugstore primer I have ever tried. I absolutely love this one. I highly recommend it. It's called the NYX Marshmallow Primer, and it does a fantastic job at blurring your pores, hydrating the face, and just making a very nice surface for when you apply your foundation over top. It smooths the skin beautifully, it hydrates the skin beautifully, and it just gives you this perfect glide for makeup to go on top of. So absolutely love it. Highly recommend it, and of course I'm keeping it. Wet n Wild has this Impossible Primer Base. It is a silicone-free primer that does it all. So it's supposed to blur out your pores, give your skin hydration, but also control oil, a little bit of everything. It's honestly an okay primer. I do see that it has a bit of a blurring effect to it. I like to use it under makeup, but I just don't reach for it that often. It's not one of my favorites. So I'm going to go ahead and part with it. This one here from Milk Makeup is a mattifying primer that I actually like. It has this beautiful texture to it that makes your makeup go on very, very easily. A bit of a blurring effect to it. It has a cooling sensation. And even though it's a mattifying primer, I never feel like my skin feels dehydrated or dry with this one. So if I'm going to keep one mattifying primer in my collection, it's going to be this one. If you are looking for a mattifying primer, I highly recommend it. It is my favorite mattifying primer for sure, so I would say go for it. Then I have this La Beige illuminating primer from Chanel in the shade Sunkissed. It is kind of, as described, a glowy, bronzy, illuminating type primer. I don't reach for it that often. I'm going to go ahead and pass this one along. It's a bit too highlighty for me, honestly. e.l.f. Cosmetics Jelly Pop Dew Primer. I like this one, but I don't love this one. It has a bit of a cooling sensation to it, and it does make your face nice and sticky. So if you like gripping primers, this is a fantastic one for you. I'm not the biggest fan of gripping primers, and there's others that I like better than this one, so I'm going to pass this one along. I feel like so far I've gotten rid of more primers than I've kept. I'm pretty proud of that. Mint Melt Cooling Face Primer from e.l.f. Similar to the one I just showed you. This one has even more of a cooling sensation to it, but it is a bit more hydrating as well and a bit less sticky. I think because I've already gotten rid of so many drugstore primers, I'm going to keep this one, but it's not one that I reach for all that often, but I think maybe if I need it for a future video or something, it'll come in handy. Let's keep going with this one here from YSL. This I absolutely love. It is like one of those silicone primers. It has a bit of glow to it. It blurs your pores, makes your makeup go on beautifully, in my opinion. It has been a staple in my primer collection for years now, and even though I don't reach for it that often, I can appreciate it for what it is. I have loved it for a long time, and I am keeping it still. This Makeup Forever Hydrating Primer here is another primer staple. This one is very popular, very hydrating. It gives your skin glow and hydration, and it provides a very nice lip for any foundation you choose to put on top with that set. There's others that I like much better. So I'm gonna give it away. Oh, this one hurts a little, but I'm gonna give it away. All right, this one here from Huda Beauty, and I had a love affair. This is a jelly gripping primer from Huda, and I remember there was a time where I could not stop using this one. It gives your skin beautiful hydration, and it provides with just the right amount of stickiness for makeup to build on beautifully. However, there is a similar primer that I know I'm keeping in my collection that I like better, so I'm going to give this one away as well. Oh my god, this one also kind of hurts. Close your eyes, put it in the bin. The one that I was talking about that has a bit of a gripping sensation to it that I like better is this one here from One Size Beauty, so I am going to be keeping this one. This one is a new primer favorite of mine. I have been loving it ever since I tried it a couple months ago. This one is incredibly hydrating. It has the best slip to it. Makeup goes on top of it beautifully. It's made me fall back in love with foundations that don't or didn't have as much coverage as I wanted, and it makes the foundations build up beautifully because it also has that tiny bit of grip to it, stickiness if you will, that makes the makeup build beautifully. So I love it. It's a favorite. I highly recommend it. Moving on to down here, I have this e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter, and I like this. It's good. I think it's a great drugstore alternative to Charlotte's Hollywood Flawless Filter. I've already gotten rid of one of these because I had two different shades, and I just kept shade number 3. I love the glow that it gives my skin, and I think e.l.f. killed it when duping Charlotte Tilbury with this product because it is fantastic. I can barely tell the difference. This one I do think is just a tad bit thicker than the Charlotte one, so I do prefer the Charlotte one over this one, but for the price, this is amazing, and I am keeping it for now. Here's the Charlotte one I was talking about. Mine doesn't have any letters left in it because I've had it for so long. As I said, this just has a bit more of a thinner texture to it than the e.l.f. one does. So it sinks right into my skin a little better, a little faster, and I love the glow that it has. I have mine in shade 3, which is my favorite, and I am going to, of course, be keeping it. This Hollywood Flawless Filter one, by the way, an absolute favorite of mine when it comes to my favorite glowy primer to put under makeup. This right here from Maybelline looks disgusting right now because the foam from the Flower Beauty primer fell on top of it. Let me see if I can clean it. Hold on. Okay, much better, but as you can see, it has separated down here. This was kind of trying to be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, but it didn't quite give the same results. I had it for a bit too long. It's breaking apart in there, and I don't know how I feel about that sponge up there. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this one away. I'm assuming maybe it's expired. Just, it looks nasty, okay? So I'm throwing this one away. More glowy primers. This is the FAVE Skin Nova Instant Radiance Primer. And here is what it looks like. I was not a big fan of this one, to be honest with you. It's a bit too yellow for me, and that does kind of tend to happen with me and what I've tried from FAVE so far. A lot of the products seem to be for people who have much more of a tan than I do. It's glowy and it does have a nice lip to it. Once you blend it out, it doesn't look as warm, but I don't reach for that often. I have other glowy primers I like better. Again, being cutthroat, I'm getting rid of this one. We are getting down to some favorites down here. This is my #1 most favorite high-end primer. I absolutely love the Tatcha Liquid Silk Canvas. I love combining this one with Magic Cream because it just gives my pores in the center of my face a really beautiful blurring effect. It blurs everything without taking away any of my hydration. It sinks right into the skin and my makeup goes beautifully on top of it, and it makes my face look flawless. Highly, highly recommended. Definitely one of my most favorite primers in my collection. If you want a drugstore version of this one, this is the closest thing you're going to get right here from NYX. That's why I also love this one so much, but just incredible texture overall. Great if you have dry skin, great if you want to cover up your pores. Only 5 primers to go. I have this one here from Rare Beauty that is the Rare Beauty Pore Diffusing Primer. It is a blurring primer. I do really love this one. It diffuses the pores a little bit. It gives your skin a nice amount of hydration, and anything you put on top of this primer looks beautiful. So I am keeping it. This is definitely an amazing primer for sure, and one of my favorites. I love this one. This one from Gucci does a very good job at doing the same thing that the Rare Beauty one does, honestly. It blurs, it hydrates, it has a nice lip to it. I'm not going to name this one as a favorite because the Rare Beauty one does the same thing for a lot cheaper, but this is a primer that I do really, really love, and I use it whenever I want to feel bougie. So I'm keeping it. Then I have this beautiful thing here from Lisa Eldridge, and this is a primer, but you can also use it as a highlighting product, kind of similar to Hollywood Flawless Filter, but not really. It doesn't have as much coverage, and I do find that it has more glow than Hollywood Flawless Filter does, because look at how much it makes your skin shine, right? So not the same thing. I do love this one as well as the Hollywood Flawless Filter, and I reach for them depending on the occasion, so I'm keeping it. This one here from Freck Beauty is my favorite hydrating primer. This gives that like sluggish hydration sensation. I don't know how else to explain it. It has a very interesting texture to it. See how it kind of separates in little strings? Let me tell you, when you put this on your skin, it gives your skin the most beautiful natural glow. It gives your skin the most beautiful hydration. If what you need is purely a hydrating primer because everything seems to be looking dry on you, this is my #1 recommendation. It's my favorite hydrating primer for sure. And last but certainly not least, this one here from Danessa Myricks. This is the Yummy Skin Balm. I have mine in #3. And if you watch my channel often, you know this is an absolute favorite of mine. This one I love because whenever my skin's a bit red, I can count on it toning down that redness with the bit of coverage that it has. But furthermore, I love it because the texture of it blurs out my pores and my imperfections. It is not a hydrating primer, but it never has dried out my skin either. I use it mainly in the center of my face, kind of targeting the areas that annoy me. So my pores, my redness and whatnot. Also the center of my forehead, because I do find that this one helps prevent oils from coming through. This one, again, one of my absolute favorites and a true multitasker, and I am of course keeping it in my collection. So now it is time to put everything back, and we'll count how many I kept and how many I got rid of. Okay, so this is it. This is everything that I kept in my primer drawer. Everything fits in the two little razors that I had in there. So I've kept a total of 20 primers, 19 if we don't count this one since it has so little, but we'll say 20. I've kept a total of 20 primers. Let's see how many I got rid of. Okay, here's the bin. I just kind of organized the primers to count them. So I almost did 50-50. There is 19 primers in here that I am getting rid of, 19 primers total. And then as I said, I am keeping 20, so almost 50% of my primers I am giving away, or in case of expiration, tossing. I feel really good about that. These that you're looking at in the drawer are definitely the ones that I use and reach for, so I didn't need to keep the rest of them in there, and I can give them better homes now. If you guys like today's declutter video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Before you leave, I love you all so much. Check out the description box for all of my favorite primers if you're interested, and I hope to see you back in the next video. Bye.